Talk to me. Questions? Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. What questions do you guys have? Wow, that's a lot of questions. You're overwhelming me. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure you guys looked at this list and compared it to 4 lab works. And you have this list of questions that you have. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is going to be the best 2-minute video ever. Me asking questions and nothing written. It's awesome. Sure. Okay. (6B) number 2. Okay. And it's asking you to find all the rational zeros. And then use it to find the other zeros. How do I do that? Anybody? This involves long division as well. So one way to do it, so one way is to put this in. So you got x to the third minus 2x squared plus 5x plus 26, right? Is that typed in right? The problem is that this only gives me one rational zero, right? And the way we typically would do it is find the factors of the constant, right? Which is 26, so it's 1, 2, 13, 26, divided by the factors of the lead coefficient, which is 1. So all your possibilities are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 13, and plus or minus 26, right? And then you're supposed to do the remainder theorem to see if it works. However, you're going to use the graph. You got x equals -2. So I know that one of the roots is x equals -2. So that means one of the factors is x plus 2, right? So you would take the x plus 2, and you'll do the long division with this. So this is going to be x squared, x to the third, plus 2x squared. Flip the signs, add, and you get 0. So now that means I got to bring both of these down. Ah, you're right. You are absolutely correct. That gives you -4x squared. And then you just bring down the 5x. So that's going to give me what? -4x. Flip the signs and add. That's going to give me 13. So how are we going to go about factoring this? Anybody? You can use the quadratic formula or what do you mean by two separate ones? So quadratic formula is one way. What's the other way? Complete the square. Okay. And why am I about to write this as equal to 0? Why am I writing equal to 0? Because to find 0 is a y value that's equal to 0, right? Because I'm looking for the x value when the y value is equal to 0. That's why I'm having it set equal to 0. Okay. And if I were you guys, I would try to stay away from quadratic formula because it's never used. Next question. Anything from home? Wow. Nothing else? Ten C, number 9. Certainly. So we're given this matrices. And we're given the inverse as well. So inverse is so the question is, how do we go about doing that? That is the question. So it goes back to this piece here. Do you remember what that was talking about? So, you know where this matrice came from, right? So that matrices came from this x plus 2y plus 3z equals to 8. right? And then x plus y plus z equals to negative 4, and 2x plus 2y plus z is equal to 11. So that's where that came from, right? So essentially what I have here is that this matrix, okay, which is what's on the left side of the equal sign, times, let me do this. No, I don't want that. And that's going to equal to okay? So that is this right here. That's what this is talking about. Okay? So my goal is to solve for x, y, and z. Right? So essentially what I have to do is get rid of this. Right? Just as if this was something simpler, right? So if I went something simple, okay? Let's say that this is like 2x equals 4. We would just divide by 4. Agreed? Or we can think of it this way. We multiply by the 1/2 on each side. Agreed? So if I had this, if I multiplied this by its inverse, it would be 1/2, right? So I multiply this by 1/2, I multiply this side by 1/2. I still get the same answer, is that right? Yes, it does, right? Because if I divide this by 2 or multiply by 1/2, it's still 1, right? So, but 1/2 is the inverse of 2. We agree with that, right? So essentially we're doing the same thing, except we can't divide matrices. So we have to then, in order to get x by itself, we'll have to multiply both sides by the inverse of that matrix. Okay? So I have this. So what I have to do, oopsies, let me see. I got to shrink this down a little bit. So to get rid of that matrix on the left side, I'm going to have to multiply by its inverse. So to multiply by its inverse, well, the inverse is already given to me, which is great. So I'm going to multiply this side by that inverse. Yuck. Which means I got to multiply this side by that inverse. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I have left on the left side is just the xyz. But then I got to do this multiplication here. So let's multiply that. What is that going to actually, do I have to do it as this side or the other way? Can I do it this way, or do I have to do it, oops, this way? That way? And that is why this is written this way. Okay. All right. So if it's a 3 by 3 times a 3 by, 3 by 1, right? Has to be in this direction. Does that make sense? Do we know why it can't be the other way? Do we understand or no? We do? Because if we did it the other way, and for people that don't understand, the 3 by 1 times a 3 by 3 cannot be multiplied because the center numbers don't match. So that's why we have to do a 3 by 3 multiplied by 3 by 1 because the center numbers match. And what are we going to have left? A 3 by 1. So what we'll have left is this. How do I multiply these two? First row by first column, is that what you said? So you're saying this times this? So let's write this out. And then we add them? That's what you're saying, yes? And then what does that give me? Gam ba, gam sub lok, gam sub yet, ooh, sub lok, sub yet, ya chat, ba, negative 35. Ba, e sub. That's 28 and 22, so that was that 28, 22, 50. 0, negative 8, negative 11, negative 19. Questions on that? So if you look at what I put here, right? So that's how you get that right there. Cool? Great question. Because this is the lesson that I kind of had to plow through. This is what you guys got to do. All right, see you, bye. You guys know when your final exam is? What day is it? The 3rd. It will be at 12 to 1:50. Yes, here. Questions? Nothing? Don't know what to ask? Any questions at home? Oopsies. And a cheat sheet that you've been given will be given during the final as well. Do we do it on the day of the exam review? It's already there. That's week 14. Is that the class you missed? Okay. So obviously I record these, right? And then I post a PDF, so that's all in there. And then we talked about some of the other things there. Cool? And all those concepts should be covered by your optional lab works. Now, one of the things I'm going to warn you guys right now, because obviously I have a student that was with me in pre-calc and is now in trig. So for the ones that are taking trig next semester, just a little forewarning so that you guys understand what you're getting into. So with trig, number one, there's going to be a lot more open-ended exams. There will be a non-calculator and calculator section of those exams. Okay? So you got to be careful with that. So doing those shortcuts in terms of the quadratic formula and stuff like that, I guess it's not really a shortcut. I'm going to guess that she won't care if you decide to use a quadratic formula or not. It's about getting to the right answer. It's about showing work. So the work that you've been showing on the lab work is the work that you're going to have to show. Right? There's not going to be a review. Your review will be something like this right here, where you guys are still going to have lab work. I don't think it's 10 though, right? You're going to still have lab work, but you're going to have more time to do those lab works. You have to show all your work, but it's not a what we know. Are you in trig right now? Okay. Here? Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. Those are good warnings. So it's not until I think exam 4 before you get into multiple choice, because the final exam will be multiple choice. Okay? So you're still going to have lab works, just in a different way. Right? You're still going to show work. You're not going to get your grades back right away either. Okay? It's going to take some time. She does grade it by hand, and she does try to get it back to you as soon as she can, because she doesn't want it in her den in her house or in her classroom, in her office either. If you're taking it with Quill, you are in good hands. She's, I would say, the exact opposite of me. Right? I'm calm, cool, and collected most of the time. She's razzle-dazzled most of the time. Is that about right? Frazzle-dazzled? But she's like a loving mom who wants the best for you. So she'll ask you guys to go over to the office, and when you go to the office, you're going to be overwhelmed because there's going to be like 10 students in there trying to all get mommy help. And then there's Chan, exactly opposite. Figure it out. Right? I'm pretty stern in terms of due dates. You guys know exactly what I'm going to say. You're going to know what she's going to say as well, but her due dates are very malleable. Okay? And she'll give you those second chances, but if you take advantage of those second chances, your hand will get cut off as well. So don't take advantage of it. Just say, whew, a relief, right? So you're going to know that she's going to give you extensions. She's pretty compassionate when it comes to that. I'm very unlike myself, okay? So, but I want to bring that up to you because The so-called non-calculated part is things that you have to remember. And the very first exam is one of my passions, actually. And really, you only need to remember two things that you've already learned. The 30, 60, 90 triangle and the 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. Only two triangles you got to remember. The whole unit circle is based on those two triangles over and over and over and over again. So there should be no reason why any of you guys should struggle with it. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about with that, when you get there, if you need to come back and saying, tell me about those two triangles, because the ratio of the 30, 60, 90 triangle has the 30, 60, 90 triangle has a ratio of 1 to square root of 3. 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, square root of 3. That is the ratio of the sides of a 30, 60, 90 triangle, which makes sense. 30 degrees, double that, 60 degrees, right? So you see the doubling up, but it doesn't correlate with those sides that way. It's really the shortest sides with the hypotenuse is 1, 2, and then square root of 3 is that opposite of 60. The 45, 45 degree triangle has a ratio of 1, 1, square root of 2. 1, 1 on the sides, square root of 2 on the hypotenuse. And the unit circle basically has, it's called a unit circle because the radius of that circle is 1 unit, which means your hypotenuse of those two triangles has to be a unit of 1. So that means you have to do something to all three sides so that the hypotenuse is 1. Okay? So when you guys get there, like I said, if you guys have questions and going, what did he mean? Feel free to come back to me. I have no problems answering that because that's something I love to talk about. Okay? And hopefully it makes sense to you. But if it clicks for you as you're looking at it, great. Okay? So those are typically your key angles that you're going to have to deal with, which is if I go from 0 to 180, it'd be 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, 120, 135, 150, 180, and so on. So it's 30, 50, 45, and then the 60 degree. Okay. So I figure I should warn you guys about those things, especially if you're not taking trig right now. Some people at home, I think Justin is actually taking trig right now. Is that right, Justin? Yeah. But so remember one of the things I said to most of my students who have been with me, intermediate algebra, not much things were new, right? In college algebra, the last exam was all new stuff, supposedly, for most of you guys. Pre-calc, last 2 exams were brand new stuff. Trig, chances are, it's all 4 exams are new to you with a sprinkle of recalls in there. So that's what you have to be careful with, especially with the 4th exam. Okay? So, and if you guys leave this room, the copper room right now, there is 4 students in there. I've had 3 of those 4 students, and they're studying for the final right now. They're literally trying to teach each other how to get things done. And Justin, you should be here to help them. You slacker. All right, any other questions on this final exam? Nothing? We're good. Nothing at all. Really? Wow. Hopefully this list helps you guys. Hopefully you guys don't go too crazy during Thanksgiving. Does anybody go out shopping on Black Friday anymore? Or is everything online now? I just spent $500 on Amazon, so. Mostly like supplement stuff, like protein and stuff like that. Because they're like, I look at it as like, ooh, buy 3 get 1 free essentially, right? Because I already order it, but it's like buy 3 get 1 free, so I'm like, all right, let's just order it. So I'll save money, but I just have to store it in my house for a little time as I go through it. So no other questions. That's it. Yes. Okay, so passage to function means that it's a word problem. So you're going to read a passage, and then you got to create a function from that. Same thing with passage to piecewise, right? You're going to read a passage, quote unquote, a word problem, and then you're going to have to create the piecewise function or match up the piecewise function to it. I was wondering if someone was going to ask that question. Because when I looked at it, I'm like, passage? What do I mean by passage? I mean, I asked myself what the heck passage meant. Everything else good? So none of these like throws you off? Again, the TI-84 versus Desmos, there is zero advantage of using either one. Just so you guys know. There is no advantages of using one versus the other. Okay? Because things are pretty general, if I was to say. Right? Yeah, I really don't think that there is going to be any advantages of having one or the other. So, but again, use what you're comfortable with. Okie doke? Any other questions? Nothing? You look like you want to ask a question.
I do, but I know.
It's. Why would I say no?
I was going to ask, like, is it possible to use the MLMs to study more, or are you not open to this at all for us to use like that?
Okay, great question. So the question was, can we use MLM to study more? Are you going to reopen them or not? So the answer is this. In case if there is a section that you want to go over, what you would do is you would go into MLM. Okay? On the left side is a grade book. If you click on grade book, you go to the assignment that you want to review and click on review. And then it will give you a message that says, just so you know, you can do whatever you want in here, but it's not going to change your grade. And I'm like, got it. And after that, you can go back and do all you want with it. Like similar problems and stuff like that, you're welcome to do that. Certainly. Certainly. Now, I told you guys 2 study habits, condensing your notes and writing the best cheat sheet ever without that you're never going to use, right? So for me, one of the things that if I was in your seats, I was just telling that to intermediate algebra, if I was in your seats, what I would probably do is I would go back and print out all the PDFs from the live lectures, right? And then I would play those videos at like 1.5 or 1.75 speed and kind of go through and going, yep, understood, yep, right? Well, until I get to a point where, oh, I forgot this, right? Then I'll circle that problem and saying, these are the steps. Or if I didn't give you steps, that you replay that part of the video at regular speed to kind of, and then you're going to write the notes down. So now you got certain things that you circled that, hey, I need to really write this down. Then create your cheat sheet from that. That's what I would probably do if I was in your seats. Is that fair? I know it's a lot to go through, but that's why I say play it in 1.5, play 1.75. It seems like it's weird because once you get to 2, now I start to sound like a chipmunk. right? But time and a half isn't bad. It's like I can still understand, right? And then at 2, I sound like Ben Shapiro or a chipmunk, one or the other. So, but again, that's what I would do if I were in your seats. Now, some of you guys, this stuff is easy for you. I understand that as well. Okay, but I would definitely look at this list and search on your lab work, your 4 lab works, to find where these values are or where these problems are. Is that cool? I think that was a great question because not a lot of people know how to get back to those problems, right? And here's the thing. If there was a problem on lab work that you're like, ooh, I need these problems, feel free to use ChatGPT. Take a picture of it saying, hey, give me another problem like this. Change up the numbers. But it's still going to have a solution, right? I think that's the way to do it. So, cool? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a wonderful, blessed Thanksgiving. Please be safe. Love you guys. See you guys next week on the 3rd for your final exam. Later.